Hello, I'm Mary Gosnell, Director of Operations for Account Management, and I'm here to talk to you about our Territory Account Managers, or TAMs as we call them. So they're each assigned a geographic area, and they manage the customers within that area, and this includes Mexico and Canada. Our 18 TAMs solicit freight from customers daily, but they're working several days in advance based on customer, driver, and Melton needs. Because they work in advance, it's critical that you communicate ahead of time any delays, breakdowns, or issues with your hours of service to your driver manager using the macros in your Qualcomm. We are mandatory dispatch and expect each driver to run all the lower 48, and for those of you who are Canada qualified, to run all the provinces of Canada. We strongly encourage you to get your Melton Advanced credentials, otherwise known as your MAC rating. Having all of your MAC credentials can significantly improve your reloadability and reduce the downtime between loads, since you'll be able to haul every type of load we carry. The MAC credentials include your TWIC, which is the Transportation Workers ID card, which allows access to certain ports, hazmat certification, and being Canada qualified with either a passport or a valid pass card. The loads that require MAC credentials pay extra per mile and may position you on the other end for additional freight once you're empty. Each credential can earn you points on your Melton scorecard as well, so contact your DM for additional information if you're lacking a credential. We dispatch on a first empty, first loaded basis out of all areas, including Laredo, with a few important exceptions. Our first priority for dispatch are trucks with requested home time flags. Your home time is very important to us, and flagged trucks move to the top of the board for dispatch. Sometimes you may wait for a little bit longer as the TAM finds the perfect load to get you moving toward your home. Second, we dispatch drivers on loads that require MAC credentials. So hazmat loads, loads that require a TWIC card, or loads going to Canada that require passport or pass card. Third, dispatched are drivers flagged for something other than home time. For instance, if you need to come to a terminal for some reason or need to head into the shop. From there, we dispatch based on available hours of service and distance from the shipper. It's very important that you let us know immediately if you do have any issues with your hours of service. The TAMs are dedicated to keeping you moving. If you're interested in coming to see how we do what we do to keep you out and rolling and productive, please come by and see us next time you're in Tulsa. We look forward to visiting with you.
So now that we understand where your loads come from, let's better understand what your driver manager's role is. Your driver manager, who we also refer to as your DM, is your lifeline here at Melton. They'll be the person that you communicate with the most during your time with Melton. When you have needs for loads, questions about your loads, fuel solutions, anything like that, you'll reach out to your driver manager. Each driver manager also has a supervisor, which is known as their senior driver manager. If you ever have questions for a senior driver manager, please feel free to reach out to them. We know that communication is very important to our drivers. It's also important to us here in the office. Your Qualcomm is your preferred means of communication when reaching out to your driver manager. There will be times when a phone call is necessary in the case of an emergency or information that you need right away. Please do not hesitate to reach out to your driver manager by phone when needed. In order to find out your driver manager's hours, please reach out to your driver manager and find out what their regular business hours are. Each driver manager has a cover buddy system. The cover buddy will cover the driver manager when they're away in training or at lunch. Other means of communication to reach out to other individuals in maintenance, in safety, and other parts of operation, other options are TransFlow, Facebook, and also using the previous mentioned phone and Qualcomm messages. Please do not hesitate to reach out whenever you need a hand. Here at Melton, we have an excellent extended coverage group that is here 24/7, 365 days a year. They're always available when your driver manager may be out of the office. The extended coverage group is here to help with all items of things done after hours, on the weekends, and so on. Please limit the requests through Qualcomm and phone when emergencies are necessary. We work with a skeleton crew anytime after 4 p.m., so sometimes response times might be a little bit delayed, but trust in us that we will get back with you as soon as possible. There are generally 3 topics that are very important to the driver: home time, miles, and money. Let's discuss the pay at this time. The driver's pay is paid on each Friday. The end of that cycle is paid through on Monday night, so as long as you empty out your load by Monday night midnight, it will be paid on that following Friday. In order to inquire on what your pay will be for any particular Friday, Anytime on Wednesday of that week after 4 p.m., you can either send a Macro 9 to do a inquiry on what your pay is going to be for that week, or look for it through the TransFlow app. If you have any questions about your pay settlement, please reach out to your driver manager. If there are any questions that they're not able to handle themselves, they'll then arrange a conference call with the payroll department to help settle the answers. In regards to pay advances, every Monday night at midnight, each driver will receive a $100 advance that's put on their card. This advance is meant for any on-the-road expenses that you might have while driving for us. These advances, when pulled, will be pulled from your following settlement, so it's important to make sure you turn in any receipts that are job-related as soon as possible to balance that out. After 60 days, you will be eligible for 2 additional advances that can be issued at the discretion of your driver manager. Please send an advance request with a description of how much is needed, what the advance is needed for. Each driver is eligible for 2 additional cash advances in any 30-day period after they reach their 60-day span with Melton. One of our forms of additional pay is layover pay. Layover pay is paid whenever you are in the shop for an extended amount of time or might go without a load for an extended amount of time. Layover pay is paid after 48 hours. The first day is paid at $50. The second day is paid at $75. And should you be in the shop for an extended amount of time, 3 days or beyond, that is paid at $100 each. So for example, if you were in the shop for 3 days, that $100 reverts back to the very first day. In the case that you might be in the shop for 3 days, you would be paid $300 additional for that breakdown pay. In order to request layover pay, you want to make sure that you send in a Macro 26. Anytime you have a question on whether or not you may or may not qualify for layover pay, please send it in. Your driver manager will run the numbers and make sure that you qualify at that time. Don't leave any money on the table. If you think that you qualify, send it in and let your driver manager run the numbers for you on that. Make sure that you have all your information in there on what's going on and what's causing the delay. That way your driver manager can proceed it as quick as possible. Layover pay is not automatic. You must send in the Macro 26 in order to receive layover pay. Another way to generate additional income on the road whenever you might not be able to drive would be through our detention program. Detention pay is another way to receive some additional income when you're not out on the road. Anytime you're at a shipper, stop, or consignee and you've been delayed 2 hours or more, make sure you send in a Macro 24 through your Qualcomm or through your TransFlow app. What will happen then is we will reach out to the customer and explain to them that they're about to incur some additional charges on the road. Once you've been unloaded or loaded, make sure you send in a Macro 25 to end that event. In order to get paid on your detention pay, you are required to send both macros, a Macro 24 to start the event, giving the 2-hour warning, and a Macro 25 to end the event to let someone know that you've been loaded or unloaded. Make sure that you send these macros in on time in order to be paid in a timely manner.
As you can see, there are many moving parts in the operations department. Everyone is working hard behind the scenes to keep you moving up and down the road safely. If you don't understand something or you have a question, your driver manager is just a call away. Be safe out there, and we'll see you soon.